So here's a big one. What to do when you fail to attain your goal? I'm going to talk about two different kinds of goals for this video. Now, one of them is the one that actually has a deadline, meaning that you want to make, I don't know whether you want to make a certain amount of money, or you want to do a certain drawing or a certain piece of artwork, whatever, and for some reason you have a clear deadline for it. And the first thing that I would say is, just in case you get to the deadline and you don't make it, sometimes deadlines are not that fixed as you might think. And just asking if it's up to someone else, just asking if the deadline can be delayed or something is a start, just so you know. But what I'm talking more about, less about the practicality of what can you do in that situation, and more about the energy behind it, because it can be very disappointing, and it can be, you may feel like, oh shit, this is not, I cannot do this, I'm a failure, and everything goes to shit. And it's very important to still be in control and know that everything is happening for a reason, and everything is like, believe in your magic, that and everything is a step for you, and it's important. I would also mention, very important, while you may not think that a failure is a step that is important for you, probably that's exactly why failure is there for you, because you need to understand how to get past it. That is the actual step for you, not reaching your goal, but learning to detach from being afraid of failure. That is actually fucking so important. I should have ended on that note. This just came to me because I didn't got to my examples yet. But this is actually the core of this video. We'll see if we're gonna unleash some more. But this is the core of it. No matter what kind of failure it is, the point is for you to not give up on yourself. Not necessarily on that goal, because we're gonna see the examples, but to not give up on yourself. Because that's probably what that failure is there to like teach you. It's actually an energetic test, because you've raised your standards somewhere, and in order to reach that standard, you need to shift your energy. And in order to do that, going through a failure is the step for you, in order to kill that shadow and to understand your fear around failure. Because that's how you succeed, because you don't care about failure. So anyway, there are two examples. The one with a deadline, and I'm going to give you a personal example where I had this deadline of getting into a program that I wanted to get into, but I didn't have the money. And so I needed to make the money, but at the same time, I got this idea to get off social media. I needed to be on social media in order to make more money. I had 2 more days in order to be even able to logically make some money, because that's where I reach out to people. And I needed to be on social media in order to actually get into the program, even if I got the money to talk to that person. So taking a pause was completely counterintuitive. It was completely counterintuitive to take a break, and yet I did, because I was so afraid that if I take a break I will miss out. So that it was fear at the core of it. So that's why I took the break, because I knew that was fucking shadow. And interesting enough, when I came back from my break, I realized that the deadline was not what I thought it was, and I had 1 more week. Actually, I still did not reach my deadline. I did not reach my goal. I have 2 more days, because it got postponed a week. But if you do have a deadline and you don't reach it, the most important thing is to not give up, because people tell you not to give up, but here's the difference. You cannot not give up on something that the ship has sailed. You can't do anything about it. It's like going for a contest or something, and the deadline for the contest is now, and the contest ended, so there's nothing else that I can do about it. So how can I not give up? So the thing is, do not give up on yourself. In the situation where the ship has sailed and there's nothing you can do about it, first of all, don't be pissed off. Like, actually, that's bad advice. If you're pissed off, because that's the first step, identifying there is a shadow there, and identifying what thoughts come into your head when you feel like, do you feel you're a failure? Do you feel like you never get to meet your deadlines? Do you feel like, oh shit, I shouldn't have even tried? Like, just be aware of the thoughts that come into your head. And important is to not even think about what you should have done. Because as I said, trust your magic and trust that every action is there for a reason for you. Even if it seems shitty at that moment, it's there for a reason. And especially if something is shitty, especially when there is failure, that whenever you perceive something as failure, it means that you are attached to an outcome. Because basically, there is no such thing as failure, because failure is just a challenge of life in order for you to up level. That's what it is, and it's just fun, because life is a game. There is no actual failure. So even the deadline thing, don't be attached to it. Don't crumble under the shadow of thinking that you weren't good enough and there was something else that you could have done. No, think about it. Okay, this failure is actually the way I reach my goal. Like the bigger goal. Forget about the deadline thing. What was that thing that had a deadline supposed to get you to? What was the bigger goal? And that's what you think of, the bigger goal. And so even if you've lost the fight, you haven't lost the war, that saying. So don't think about the failure of this fight. Think always of, don't go back, go forward, always forward moving energy, and think, okay, what can I do from now on to reach my bigger goal? What is my next step? And you start by, what am I learning about myself? How am I lying to myself? What shadows do I have around failure about what just happened? Because if you are pissed off, if you feel like shit, if you feel sad, if you feel regret, all of that is shadow, and it's coming from somewhere, and you have to just figure out what it's coming from and what's its attachment. Okay, this was a big example. The other example is where you don't have a deadline. And I'm going to give you a personal example. I have this draw this in your style challenge on Instagram. I actually posted it like 3 months ago, and I just posted it, and that's it. I was expecting maybe a few entries, but that's it. A few, actually, in like 5 tops. And that's it. Now, a lot has changed since then in me energetically, and now I'm more in control. And I said, okay, I'm setting this goal, I'm reviving this draw this in your style challenge, and I'm going to actually make it happen. I'm going to start reaching out to people. I actually set a goal for myself of 1,000 entries. Yeah, 1,000 entries at my draw this in your style challenge. And I started contacting people, like literally just personally contacting them, people that I like how they draw, people that I've seen that have a thing for draw this in your style challenge, like they do those sorts of things, and just asking people, hey, are you interested in my challenge? That's it, as simple as that. And just for a second there, I spaced out. And the thing is, a lot of people actually said yes. A lot of people said, I don't know if I have time, whatever. It doesn't have a deadline. Because the thing is, if I'm going for, the deadline is 1,000 entries. Like, I'm gonna keep promoting it until it gets 1,000 entries, right? But there is no time limit. So not having a deadline may make people not want to do it now and postpone it, but I don't care, because changing that would just be me acting out of fear of not happening what I wanted to happen. So that's not gonna happen. But there is no deadline, and I've talked to a lot of people, as I said already, and a lot of them already said yes, and they were actually enthusiastic about it. And still there is no fucking entry. I started reaching out to people for like 2 weeks now, maybe, since I revived the contest, and I keep posting it on my story and so on. And although I got yeses, I have no fucking entry yet. Now, most people would actually consider this a fail already. But here's the thing, I don't. It has no deadline. The purpose is to have, like, the goal is to have 1,000 entries. So that's what I'm gonna do, and I'm not gonna fucking stop until I do. How it's gonna happen, that I'm gonna have to contact every person individually, or someone that has a lot of following will actually enter my contest, and then it will cause a lot of other people to join. I don't know how it's gonna happen. I don't fucking care. I'm willing to do whatever it takes to get there. By the way, if you haven't seen the video on how not to fail, this is how you do not fail. You keep going until you succeed. There is no failure, and don't assume failure before time. Like, I could say like it's a failure because nothing's happening, but I'm not, because I know I'm getting there because I'm not gonna stop until I do. There's always a next step, and I'm never thinking, oh shit, it's not working. I'm thinking, okay, what is there something that I can do, like right now, something else, something more, like, and just staying open to intuition. Sometimes intuition can tell you to keep going with what you're doing, because that's what is your shadow. You're afraid to keep doing the same thing and for things to not work out. Although even when doing the same thing so many times, the energy is shifting, and although the action is kind of the same, the energy behind it is going to give you a different result. Or sometimes you may get the intuitive hit to do something completely different, and do that. But don't assume failure, and keep going, and just keep moving forward until you reach your goal. Is this a topic? Okay, so what to do when you fail your goal? You don't. There is no failure. Boom, that's the end. Okay, learning more about the energetics behind drawing and talent. How not to fail, how to take control of your craft and your life actually in the same time. Join me in my Facebook group. This is a free option. Talent is Your Mistress. This is the name of the group. And we're gonna, spoiler alert, we're gonna start a challenge pretty soon in there. I also have just started a group program, so check out that one or work with me one-on-one. Contact me for details. Okay guys, bye.